What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to Thursday night's late night agenda. And of course, the main topic tonight will be Jude Bellingham, but it isn't going to be the entirety of the video because I have an opinion section that I want to go through at the end, which kind of points the finger of blame in a direction that maybe people won't like to hear about why Liverpool are in the position that we're in, why there is this sudden realization from FSG, from Jurgen Klopp, from the Liverpool team that we are in need of a rebuild. Have they been just living with their fingers in their ears going la 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 la? I don't think so, but I will give my reasoning as we move on. So look, let's start off with the Jude Bellingham stuff. So you're going to see a range of things today, or you probably will have seen a range of things, running from Manchester City, according to ESPN, are now the favourites from Jude Bellingham's signature, which is kind of at odds, right, with what was put out there by many other outlets in the last 24, 48 hours to say he's no interest in a PSG, a Chelsea, or a Manchester City, which I believe to be the case. That being said, there is a narrative that is starting to be formed, and David Ornstein has been credited as saying that he wouldn't be surprised if Jude Bellingham spends another year at Borussia Dortmund before moving on. Now, I guess the point that I want to make here is what I want to figure out, and what I want your opinion on is, does that rule the end of us with Bellingham? Because I have to say, I can't really envision a situation where Liverpool spend a load of money in this window rebuilding our midfield, then wait a year and go and drop a load more money on Jude Bellingham. It doesn't really make sense, right? Because yes, it'll be a knockdown fee, but it's still going to be rather hefty. It's still going to have the same wages, and he will be a year further along in his development. So I feel like if Liverpool are to act to get Bellingham, it is this summer. It has to be now. I don't think we can afford to wait because we need to rebuild. And if we do rebuild this summer and we spend the money that we think and hope the club are going to spend, then it probably doesn't leave much in the kitty for next summer to go and reinvest in midfield in a position where, well, would have probably just solved in the window. So it's a bit strange to me on this one, but I don't think that Liverpool's story with Jude Bellingham is over, and neither does Jan Fjortov, because he himself tweeted out today to say that he feels there's still a bit more to come from Liverpool and Jude Bellingham, and that's exactly the feeling that I get. So as I've tried to explain this to you guys over the past 48 hours, there is of course lots of different perspectives. Those perspectives on this situation can be formed by what you want to believe, what you do believe, who you like, and who you trust. On this one, of all the stuff that's happened since I've been making content around Liverpool Football Club, this has probably been the most difficult situation to get a read on, because I know what I know. I know the information that I've got. I also know that Bellingham wants to come to Liverpool, but what I can't for the life of me figure out is why this realization has come that we need this rebuild. Because we've gone from a situation, remember, last summer, where we needed no midfielders, according to our manager, but now all of a sudden we need the midfielders that we all knew we needed, which is probably three. So I'm going to read you guys a comment that was posted on The Athletic. And I think that this gentleman, Kieran M, if you are watching, which would be an absolute miracle. I mean, what a coincidence that would be. But if you are watching, Kieran, I absolutely agree with you. This is what Kieran has had to say on what he believes the situation at Liverpool is. And I think a lot of you will probably nod along with me as I read this out. So he says, the departure of Michael Edwards and shift in focus of Mike Gordon has had a huge impact on the club's recruitment strategy. Klopp was too stubborn last year in believing the midfield could last another year and should have been challenged more internally, epitomised by the bizarre Arthur Melo deal. Now again, I would imagine, as I've read that out, you're probably going, I kind of agree with what Kieran is saying there, because I know I do. Anyway, we move on. Number 2 on Kieran's list was FSG's continued underinvestment in the squad comes as no surprise to him given the track record at the Red Sox. In years to come, they will be a case study of what happens when you don't build from a position of strength. Now, this is the phrase that we've been using on the channel. You guys probably have been using in your conversations with your mates and stuff as well. It is common sense to build from a position of strength. It is really difficult to get yourself up to the top of the mountain. But when you get there, it is all about maintaining your position. And this is where the confusion came from a lot of us, because we expected to add a couple of quality signings every year. Not 3, 4, 5, but 1 or 2 good every window, good signings that keeps you ticking along. Even our manager himself has said that that's the way that smart people do things. You refresh the squad, you keep the competition there, and you put a little bit of new blood in the mix. So he goes on to say that Bellingham is a generational talent where it's worth ripping up the rules. And again, I think a lot of us, and some people won't agree with this part. I hear you, because there are some people who feel that maybe Bellingham is a little bit overhyped. I'm not one of them. But he is a generational talent, and we've always been told that the generational talent pool of money is there, specifically for a player like Bellingham, who really, really does want to come and play for Liverpool. So the last thing on Kieran's list here is, by so publicly backing out of this move, FSG and Klopp have massively increased the pressure on their summer activity and its poor decision making at every level. And this is right, because what I've seen over the past 24 hours is a clear drive from FSG and the club to win hearts and minds. I mean, John Barnes was put out a piece today, or was quoted in a piece as saying that Liverpool fans shouldn't be angry if we miss out on Bellingham, and Liverpool fans should back the club no matter what. I'm sorry, John. You were a fantastic player, but you can keep that opinion and shove it, mate. Because Liverpool fans should want better. If you were in that dressing room, John, and Liverpool weren't stacking that dressing room with players that you think could come in and help, I guarantee you wouldn't be just sitting there going, well, Liverpool Football Club are my club and I'll do anything for the club. Could it be, John, that maybe because they are paying your wages right now, you're a little bit pro FSG and a bit pro Liverpool? The rest of us, John, we want to continue on to be successful. So no, we shouldn't go and support another club. No, John, we shouldn't just clap along and go, yes, this is Liverpool, I agree with everything. We should be challenging, we should be wanting better, and people like him and other people in the media have a duty to make sure that the custodians of our football club actually want success, not just to sit on the asset and see it increase in value for the day where they eventually sell it. Now, the point that I want to make here, and I alluded to it at the start of the video, was that I do want to tie this all together. And I do think the point that Kieran made here about the lack of Jurgen Klopp having anybody challenging him around transfers, this is one that I agree with. Because it's been pointed out to me and many other people that Michael Edwards and his recruitment team had flagged this to Jurgen Klopp, had flagged the idea that we needed to start refreshing midfield. But they were overruled apparently by Jurgen. Now, we're in a situation where we are being briefed, and the Athletic are writing articles, and so is everybody else, to say that no Champions League means no pot of money for Liverpool. That's fairly straightforward. But the reasons why we have no Champions League, I don't think are being taken into account here by fans. We have no Champions League because of chronic underinvestment in the midfield from the manager and his own pig-headedness. Now look, we love Klopp. Klopp is amazing, but he's not infallible. He does make decisions. We should call them out. We can do it from a loving place, but we've every right as fans to call them out. So I don't like the fact that we're being beaten with the stick of no Champions League means not as much money. It's your fault we have no Champions League. You should have done what we all said. Invested in midfield, brought in the players, and not panicked at the end of the window and brought in Arthur Melo. The fact that Jude Bellingham was going to be expensive should never have come as a surprise to FSG. And I think that this is, again, just them testing the waters, the fan bases, and seeing what they can get away with. And I'm really sorry to have to say this, but I do think, from the perspective of signings, Jurgen Klopp is part of the problem. From on the pitch and the managerial side of things, yes, I'll critique a few bits, but ultimately, he's the man I want in charge. He's the man I want leading our football club. But if he's so pig-headed that he's showing this loyalty to players who are letting him and us down and not bringing in new blood or holding off because he wants these top targets, well, your two top targets were Arlie and Tchouameni and Jude Bellingham, and you look like you're going to miss out on both of them because of your own stubbornness. If we had have brought in a midfielder in the summer, we could have been in the Champions League come next season, and we could have had that money, and we could have got Jude Bellingham. People need to start asking the right questions here of the right people, and not just accepting the narrative that our football club, our manager, and their PR teams are putting out. We have every right to expect better. We have every right to challenge the status quo, and we have every right to want Liverpool to continue to be fighting at the top. So I've seen the articles again talking about Liverpool's finances. You know, I know, and everybody watching this video knows that in the coming days, weeks and months, we are going to see articles telling us how clever FSG are, how brilliant they are at increasing the turnover and revenue, and how they are geniuses. But we'll also be told we've no money to spend. We've very little money. We've very little leeway because of the wage bill. But look at other clubs and look at what they're doing. There is no part of me that believes that we cannot spend. We are just willingly not spending. And if we don't get Jude Bellingham in this window, I don't know what next summer looks like. I don't know what we're going to be doing, having a conversation at the end of next season Do I think we'll be challenging for the league? No. Will we be back in the Champions League positions? Probably. But that's not good enough, and that shouldn't be good enough for us, for you, for Klopp, for the owners, and for everybody else. So look, I've had my say now. Over to you guys and let me know what you think. It was a little bit different tonight, right? You were probably just expecting me to come in, throw more transfer links around Jude Bellingham. But at this point, I don't know if anybody really knows what's going on. There's guessing games going on left, right and centre between journalists. Certain things are being briefed to English media. Certain things are being briefed to European media. And other people are just taking guesses. So as of right now, can I say with a clear conscience that I know what's going on with Bellingham? No. But I'm certain what I've always been certain of. He wants Liverpool. If we can agree a fee with Dortmund, that move would happen. The reason it won't happen is the reason we all know. FSG, maybe Jurgen Klopp, and some silly decision making. So look, let me know your thoughts. Keep an eye out tomorrow for the preview for the Leeds game. That'll be coming out as well. And again, thank you so much for your time this evening.